So another big thanks to Wizards for giving me early access to Lost Caverns of Ixalan. The set hits Arena next week, but in the meantime, here's how to get a turn 3 Ghalta and some amazing new combos to win very quickly. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today we've got some amazing new tools to cheat out massive creatures. But before I start, don't forget to like, and if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe below. It massively helps out, and I want to thank you all for the support that you give this channel. But onto this deck, and today I've got a significantly faster fight rigging deck, all thanks to some new awesome cards. So fight rigging, as we know, allows you to play a card for free if you have a 7 power creature at the beginning of combat. Normally we can do this on turn 4, but with Ixalan comes an 8/8 for just 2 mana, enabling fight rigging 1 turn earlier than previous versions. So the Ancient One can't block or attack unless there are 8 permanent cards in your graveyard. We don't care too much about that, just the 8 power on turn 2. This card is so sweet in so many different combo decks. Think flinging it, or even using an Ob Nixilis on turn 3 to sacrifice it. But today I'm hoping to use it to find one of several cards to help win us at the game. Firstly, Breach the Multiverse. Breach combo's great with our 8/8 as it will hopefully turn on the Descend 8 on turn 3 and let the Ancient One attack, plus finding 2 other cards from each graveyard too. The other new card we are hoping to drop would be Ghalta Stampede Tyrant. It's an 8 mana 12/12 with trample, and when it ETBs, you put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. This early on in the game is almost an automatic win, especially if we can drop some T-Rexes, which are our main win condition. Other new cards include the Skullspore Nexus. It's a 6 generic and 2 green mana artifact that costs X generic less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures that you control. And whenever 1 or more non-token creatures you control die, create a fungus dinosaur token with base power and toughness equal to the total power of those creatures. But for just 2 mana and tap, you can also double target creature's power until end of turn. There is so much text on these cards, but this one ability has won me countless games today, doubling your T-Rexes at instant speed or whatever creature that your opponent doesn't block. This is very easy to cast for just 2 mana in this deck, and I will never be spending 8 mana on this card. I'm also trying Ojer Kaslem Deepest Growth. It's a 6/5 5-drop god with trample, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your deck and put a creature card and a land card from them onto the battlefield. It's another surefire way to cheat out some big monsters, even though you may have already attacked. I've got Pugnacious Hammerskull. It's a 3 mana green 6/6 that gets a stun counter if you attack with it and you don't control another dinosaur. I'm using this card as a cheap 6 power creature, but we do have a fair few dinos running through the deck, so hopefully we don't get it to stun. Having green creatures with these stats is exactly what fight rigging has been missing for a long time. Then we've got Shakedown Heavy as more 3-cost 6 power creatures that normally draw us a lot of cards. I've got Bramble Familiar for ramp and its sweet sorcery if needed, and playing the Thunderous Debut, you can bargain away your fight rigging to cheat out 2 creatures from the top 20 of your deck. Both are pretty cool to play here. Interaction wise, I've got Virtue Persistence and a new card in Bitter Triumph. It's a 2 mana removal that you need to either pay 3 life or discard a card, but it takes out any creature or planeswalker at instant speed. I'm running 24 lands today, and that is the deck. So this deck has been amazing today, it really has. The Ancient One is going to see a lot of play in a multitude of decks, but combo it with Breach for very immediate impact. Then combo Ghalta with T-Rexes for huge value too. This set has been a blast to play with so far, and I can't wait for this to be released on Arena on Tuesday. If you however have any thoughts on this deck or the new Ixalan set, you can let me know in the comments below, find me over on Twitter, and as always, thank you for watching. Alright, on the draw here. Not the greatest hand I've ever seen. We'll mulligan that one. Fight rigging, Shakedown Heavy, the Ancient One. Oh yeah, this has got to be a keeper here. We can put the Thunderous Debut to the bottom of our deck. That is a card I'm never going to cast. So we are looking to play the Ancient One here on turn 2 with fight rigging on turn 3, depending on what our opponent does. Looks like they are on Grixis and haven't played a card. So we'll play the Ancient One. We'll see what they want to do. Marauding Brine Fang, so they're cycling? Yeah, island cycling for 2. Okay. And Invasion of Armoncat. So they're on some kind of Graveyard Matters mill deck, I would have thought. I'm pretty certain I've seen this deck before where you cycle a load of cards and then you get to reanimate pretty much every creature from your deck. Pretty sweet. But we've got our own combo here, and we are going to play our Fight Rig in here. Literally using the Ancient One to trigger it, and there is Breach the Multiverse. So we get to play this now. Hopefully this puts enough permanence in our graveyard to turn on the Ancient One. And we've got T-Rex there, we've got Ghalta. I'm just going to go for Ghalta. I mean, that's what we're here to do today. T-Rex is the more immediate choice, but Ghalta gets down this 6/6 and the 6/4 from our hand, even though we could attack with the T-Rex straight away. Yeah, this is massive damage, and we get to attack with our 9/9 here. So I don't think we could have quite won that turn. We took the opponent's Brine Fang. That is an invasion of Armonket. And they good game us. And there's nothing they're going to be able to do as we attack for a lot of damage. And yeah, this is about 50 damage here. And that is the power of the Ancient One, Breach the Multiverse, Ghalta, Fight Rig in every combo you can think of. Excellent. Alright, on the play, and snap keep whenever we have a Fight Rig in our hand, even though we don't have a 6-power creature. I will absolutely not be passing on this one. So the one downside of these type of decks is if you don't find your Fight Rig in, but I feel like our deck is fine. Some big 6-power creatures on turn 3 and 4 mean that our opponents are going to struggle to necessarily deal with them whilst we wait for our Fight Rig in, but we'll cast a Bramble Familiar. Opponent with a Stalactite Stalker. It is a 1/1 with Menace, and at the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So looks like they are a Descend style deck. And that is Souls of the Lost. Okay, it's an 0/1, but it gets +1/+1. Yeah, its power and toughness are equal to the amount of permanent cards in your graveyard, with its toughness with an extra point. So I've seen a lot of Descend decks today. I guess we're kind of playing that ourselves as well. I do like graveyard style decks, especially if your opponents don't have the tools to deal with them, but I'm sure people will start doing that. And that is Kaito, another cool addition for a deck that cares about discarding cards, as they get to draw and discard instead of the attacking and then just drawing. So we're taking a fair whack of damage here. Not the best card for us there. But what we can do is we can use Fight Rig in to put a counter on Bramble Familiar, which reduces the cost of the Nexus here. And then we can play that. Okay, it auto-tapped my Familiar. I should have noticed that. But we should really have a 4/4 here on defense. Okay, that's slightly annoying. My fault, but we will see what we can do here anyway. So, opponent with another Souls of the Lost. And we do find a Shakedown Heavy. So, I guess that does enable Fight Rig in this turn. So, let's see what we can do here. The Nexus is also going to be able to double the power of any of our creatures. So, Thunderous Debut. We will bargain away our Fight Rig in. So, we want to hit a couple of T-Rexes probably. Opponent has 1 mana open. I wonder if they have a Spell Pierce, but we had 2 mana. And there is enough T-Rexes in there for us to use. They may have wanted to fire off the Spell Pierce if they had it, as that would stop us from using this Nexus this turn. But we're just going to whack our opponent, and we probably got enough damage anyway without having to double the power of one of these T-Rexes. But here's how the Nexus works. And that is another whole load of damage going through. And yeah, there's some really cool cards in Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Alright, on the draw. Not the greatest hand in the world. Although we have a Bramble Familiar which can help ramp to these larger spells, I think that is a mulligan. This is better, but we don't need two Ancient Ones here, so probably put one of those to the bottom of our library here. We'll see how this goes. Just need a fight rig in, really. Opponent with their Dimir mana takes a damage and duresses us. Well, they can only take our Nexus there. So we find a Virtue, which is cool because they don't know we've got that. So that might prompt them to playing a creature, thinking that maybe it's safe to do so. So it looks like we're up against Dimir. And that is a Stalactite Stalker. Okay. So we can just Virtue this one before it gets out of hand. I think that's probably for the best here. And that enables us to, next turn, play our Shakedown Heavy. I do like this Stalker. It's a bit slow at the beginning, and it's a bit vulnerable. Another Duress for our opponent takes our Thunderous Debut, which is, again, a card that I'm just the one of in the deck. It's kind of a way to find some T-Rexes later on in the game, but as we're using our Breach the Multiverse, we don't really need Thunderous Debut. But every time I cast it, I seem to find exactly what we need to win on that turn. Okay, we'll play the other Shakedown Heavy as the first one got countered. That is a Starving Revenant. It's a 4/4 when it ETB surveils 2. Then for each card you put on the top of your library, you draw a card and lose 3 life. So far I've been a little bit medium on that card. But here's Fight Rigging. That has got to be one of the worst Fight Rigging hideaways that I've ever seen. We already have an Ancient One in our hand, and that's 4 land. I guess we just take land, reluctantly. And, not sure why I took the black land. I should have taken the Dimir land. But, hey-ho. We'll attack our opponent, and they allow us to draw a card, which is fine. This might be a case of us just trying to ramp our way up to the our 7 drops here. Still a little bit bitter and sore about that Fight Rigging being quite so bad. As we find another land. Opponent with the Deepest Betrayal. Alkazots, I think it's called. It's a 4/4 when it attacks. The defending player has to discard a card. And it has lifelink, which is probably annoying, but I guess flyers are pretty good against us. We'll play the Ancient One here, though, and we will say go. So I do like the opponent's deck. I have actually played this deck today, but I found it was a little bit unreliable. I didn't play it with this 4/4, though. An opponent has their own Ancient One, okay. So if we find a Breach the Multiverse, we're going to be sort of turning on the Descent on both of our Ancient Ones. So it might be something I don't necessarily want to do. Opponent with Whale of the Forgotten. I will pop that card on the screen as there are way too many words on it for me to go through. And another Stalker for them. And there is a Breach, okay. Well, I guess we'll just go to attack with this Shakedown Heavy. They have been reluctant to allow us to attack with it, so hopefully we find some goodies if they make us draw. It is a 9/7. We're getting a load of value out of this, even though we're not doing actual damage to our opponent's face. And there is an Ojer for us. Well, I will definitely cast this one, and then we can start attacking with that next turn. That's surely going to prompt blocks from our opponent, especially as it will have a 7 power due to the Fight Rigging. And they opt to draw and discard. And when you discard a card, target player mills cards equal to its mana value. It's the kind of hidden text on the Ancient One. But they are down to 1 card. And they attack us with the 4-4. Or we'll get rid of the Swamp. I do want to cast this Breach if I can. I think they're going to get to the Ancient One Descend 8 anyway. So I want to try and make sure that we have cards to discard from their 4-4. But let's attack with Ojer first. Ojer, I hope I'm saying that one right. They might want to double block with the 3-3 and the 4-4. They do. We'll just take out both their creatures here. So I don't mind this trade. And the Shakedown Heavy did find us another Fight Rig in, so I think instead of this Hammerskull, we'll cast the Fight Rig in and we'll hold the Hammerskull in our hand to discard when they attack us with their 4-4. And then next turn we'll have Breach the Multiverse on. And that is because our Ojer has transformed as it's died into a land. See what they can do here. We also have our Virtuous Persistence, but kind of saving that for the moment as it is a card in exile that they can't touch. But they do find a way to descend their Ancient One, which means they can attack with it. And this is a lethal attack. We're going to have to chump here with our Shakedown Heavy. Well, chump as much as we do get to destroy their creature. So at least that's off the board. And I feel kind of safe with the Breach the Multiverse now. They have another 8-8, okay. Okay, there's Ghalta. We can't cast that. That is an 8-mana spell. But let's breach our way to a potential victory here. If anything, we're going to be able to attack with our 8-8, which could be a 10-10 with both our Fight Riggins on the battlefield. I guess we just go for a couple of T-Rexes. But let's look at the opponent's deck as well. Stinging Cave Crawler, Death Touch. So a lot of really synergistic cards for their deck. Not so much ours, but I think the best thing for us to do is just take their biggest creature. And in that case, it will be Souls of the Lost, which is an 18-19. Is that showing the stats from our deck or theirs? No, it is a 15-16. And we'll take a T-Rex. And then our Fight Rig in here will pop a counter on the T-Rex. And we'll pop a counter on the Ancient One. So that we can attack with both these creatures and have them not die. We'll pop the Bitter Triumph underneath this Fight Rig in. I guess we can only attack with the T-Rex here, otherwise if they have a removal spell for the Souls of the Lost, they win the game. But they go to draw and discard again. So probably looking for a removal spell here. They attack us with their 4-4. So we have to get rid of our Ghalta. Don't really care about that. But they don't attack with the 1-1. Okay. And I think that might come back and bite them because we get to breach the multiverse here. Which is going to enable us to find a couple more creatures. I'm going to get the T-Rex. And this time I'm going to get another one of these flyers that they've been attacking us with. We can trigger our Fight Riggins. We have 4 life. And the third Fight Rig in here is going to trigger its hideaway, which is Bitter Triumph. We're going to have to pay 3 life. So we go down to 1. And we get to attack the opponent. And this is lethal. They may have wanted to attack us with that 1-1 last turn. I'm not sure if it would have helped, but we managed to get there just in time. What a great game of Magic that one was. Alright, on the play here. This is a Snap Keep. 2 Shakedown Heavies. Fight Riggin. Yeah, this one's a good one. Opponent says human for their Lore Keeper. That doesn't necessarily mean they are a human deck. We did find an Ancient One. Is this going to be the turn 3 Ghalta that I've been looking for all game? The potential's there for this. So if we had some T-Rexes in our hand, Fight rigging into Ghalta to put the T-Rexes on the battlefield is the thing I want to do. But unfortunately, we don't find a land there. But we do get to cast the Skullspawn Nexus here for just 2 mana. So, kind of cheated that card out. Come on, deck. Opponent with a Tranquil Thrillback. Okay, if they're running that and they played it, I'm kind of happy with that, as that can destroy things like Fight Rigging. But we did find a land. And there is Ghalta. We could Ghalta here. We could even Thunderous debut. Yeah, I'm going to go for Breach. Breach enables, well, should enable the Ancient One. Hammerskull or land? Mana Dork. I'm going for the Mana Dork. Opponent is on a Dinosaur deck, which is with Roaming Throne. And they had the Thrillback on the battlefield. It's slightly different to the Dinosaur decks I've been seeing today. We take the opponent for 11. We could have done the Thunderous debut. We may have actually won the game that turn with 2 T-Rexes. Ghalta would have put down the 2 Shakedown Heavies and Ojer from our hand. And that is a Breach from their Dracosaur. I'll pop that card on the screen here. I'm not sure if they've got a removal spell, but I think we're just going to see what we can do here by just taking out their Thrillback. So we have a lethal attack. But by taking out their Thrillback, it is lethal in another way here. So we're going to double the power of one of our creatures. We'll see if they want to block first, which they don't. Okay, so they don't have anything, I don't think. We'll double the power of the Dracosaur, and we will kill our opponent with their own card. Alright, on the draw, we have a Fight Rigging. Normally a keeper for me when that kind of thing happens. We do have a turn 2 play with the Virtue, so let's go for it. We have about 10 different ways to find a 6-power creature. Opponent on Rakdos. And it is Sunshot Militia. Okay, there's a new card I haven't seen today. Tap 2, untap artifacts and/or creature you control. It deals 1 damage to each opponent. Activate only as a sorcery. Alright. What crazy shenanigans are the opponent up to? Well, we're not going to let them do that quickly. Let's Virtue that while we have a chance. Did find a Shakedown Heavy, so we have a turn 4 Fight Rigging here. If we can find a Ghalta with the 2 T-Rexes in our hand, that's the dream here. Go on. No Ghalta. Alright, well, Breach is good. And opponent with the Deepest Might. So it's a 4/4. That Ojer Axonil. Trample 4/4. God, if a red source you control will deal damage, non-combat damage, less than Ojer's power, you do Ojer's power instead. So that's the shenanigans thereafter. We will Breach here. Please find Ghalta. Please find Ghalta. Just the Ancient One. Okay, not the end of the world. It is an 8/8 that can attack next turn. But opponent's deck isn't particularly what we want here. The Harvesters might be nice. But I think we'll just get a 4/4 into the battlefield. Biggest stat line. Feel a little bit unlucky here. I think Fight Rigging has let us down a little bit, but that's what you get when you get these kind of RNG decks. But we've had a lot of chances to try and find... I really wanted a Ghalta here. Our hand is so good, but... Okay, anvils for our opponent. Alright, so each anvil ping here is going to do 4 damage to us. The Sunshot Militia with the anvils as well is also going to do another 4 damage to us. This is the coolest deck I've played against today. Yeah, we just don't have the removal for their 4/4, and they're just going to ping us to death here. I don't know if there's any way out of this. I think we need to find a fight rig in there, and we don't. We just find a Restless Cottage. So even if the opponent takes all the damage here, they're not dead. They're down to 1. They don't know what we've got in our hand, though. We'll just have to attack, see what Shakedown Heavy finds us if they want to remove it from combat. But yeah, we've been beaten by the better combo here. I'm going to write this one down, and this one is going to be played with when the set releases on Arena. They just need to activate their Anvil and their Sunshot Militia. This tiny little common, 1 damage to us is 4 damage, and then Anvil is going to finish us off. I have no qualms in dying to that deck. Alright, on the draw. The hand is a fine. No fight rigging, but we do have a turn 2 Ancient one. We have Virtue available and our Bramble Familiar to ramp with. Opponent duresses us. They take the Breach. We find a Shakedown Heavy. Not sure if they know what we're up to with our hand, so probably got a little bit of hidden information there. We'll drop the Ancient one here. If anything, it's an 8/8. So this isn't the greatest start from us here. Just want to try and hit some land drops. Kind of with Corpse Appraiser. Okay, well, doesn't work as intended with a duress, but fight rigging off the top for us. Another really bad fight rig in here. Just the way it is, but we do get to play a 6/5 here in Ojer, and next turn we can attack, and then we can use Ojer to hopefully find some goodies. Playing with Henrika Domanthi, sorry. Let's play a sexy creature. Fair enough. Alright, well, I want to get as much damage onto the opponent as possible. I also want as much triggers from our 6/5 as possible. So I'm actually going to just destroy their creature here. They may have blocked anyway with it, but I want 7 damage marked on them here to look at 7 cards. T-Rex. And land is pretty good. Unfortunately, we've already gone through combat. But what can they do about this? They just need removal spells, I guess. They can tap down the Shakedown Heavy. It's just Lily. Okay. Alright, well, goodbye to the Shakedown Heavy. And we have 13 damage here, and they've got 1 black mana. Open, 14 damage. 16 damage even. My math is bad today. It's very late, but yeah. Alright, on the play. This is a mulligan, yeah. Alright, sort of mono green style hand here, but we do have a fight rig in, so we'll keep this one, and goodbye to the debut. Seem to always draw our one-of copy of the Thunderous debut. And opponent with a tapped Esper land. Okay. Alright, well, Bramble Familiar enters the arena here as a 2/2 that taps 4 mana. I like the Bramble Familiar as if you want to, if you cast the 7 mana sorcery side, you can cheat some more stuff into play. Opponent with a Subterranean Schooner. Okay. 3/4, crew 1. But we'll play our Shakedown Heavy, attack our opponent for 2, and this is going to be a fire again next turn unless they deal with our Shakedown. Well, we're going to be playing it anyway. I guess they could have counter magic. Nope, just a wedding announcement. Okay. Alright, well, let's see how this goes. Fight rig in here into a... Yeah, the vehicle is holding priority here. I guess we just get Ghalta, don't we? let's go for Ghalta here. And that is a 7-power Shakedown Heavy into Ghalta, 12/12 on ETBs. Put all our creatures in our hand onto the battlefield. Yes, please. Then we get to go to attacks. So T-Rex does get to attack this turn, but opponent has seen enough, and I'm not surprised. Did I have fun in that match? I think I did. I don't think they did.